Hello, hello, Train My Traffic people. I hope you guys are having an awesome week so far. It is Tuesday, February 18th, and John and I are here for our weekly Q&A and feedback call. So, really excited about this. I know we have lots of questions, stuff that you guys want critiqued in the group, which I'm so excited about. These first few weeks are usually when we have the highest volume of questions and critiques and things like that. So, what we're going to do is there are some, like if it's something really in depth or if it's a video you want me to look through, we're going to put that on the overflow list. And I have a few hours tomorrow on my calendar so that I can knock those out and shoot you guys separate videos like you've already seen me doing in the Facebook group. So, if we say that that's going to go on the overflow list, that is a good thing because that just means that tomorrow I'll shoot you a video or write you a detailed response to point you in the right direction. So this is just a good way for us to stay organized, as many questions as we can. That's a lot of you guys still I can speak directly to you and pick some questions that really apply to the entire group. But I'm excited to dive in. I hope you guys really enjoyed last week. I know it was a lot of information, but we really can't dive into the ad stuff until we address your offers and making sure that at least the front end of your customer journey is built in a way that is going to set you up for success, especially when it comes to talking about ads. So that is the session this Thursday. It's really the first dive into Facebook advertising in this training. I'm really excited. We're going to talk a lot about a lot of different topics from campaign structure to objectives to bidding, budgeting, policy. So we're going to go deep Thursday into Facebook advertising. And a reason that we do this is number one, this covers a lot of the questions that we usually get from you guys when it comes to Facebook advertising. So we're able to just like lay the foundation, get all of those questions essentially answered, like give you pretty much not all but a lot of the info we feel you need to at least set up the best and most optimized campaigns that you possibly can, and probably figure out some things that you might be doing wrong or opportunities that are in front of you right now before we dive into actually building the marketing assets for the campaign. So week 4 is all about figuring out your avatars, targeting, then we move to copy. I went through all of this last week with you guys, and I know most of you have a PDF of the calendar. If not, let John know in the questions box and we'll get that to you guys. But I just kind of want to recap where we are right now in the class, really focused on this front end offer, and then any other questions that you may have. So I hope you guys are having fun so far. I know I'm having a blast getting to know you guys. I think I'm already seeing progress in the group, which is really exciting, and aha moments. So thanks for being on this journey with us. And John, any other housekeeping stuff that I forgot about?
No, I think you hit everything. I did just remember that there were like 4 questions from the lesson on Thursday that we didn't get to. So if it's okay with you, we'll start with those. I think they'll be real fast, and then we can dive into the
Yeah.
Facebook group.
Yeah, especially since those aren't in the group, so I wouldn't have like kind of a place to answer them after
Exactly.
this. So that makes perfect sense. And as always, guys, feel free to ask questions here in the questions box too. We will give those priority since they don't really live on after this call. And then anything that's open in the Facebook group when I wake up Europe time tomorrow will be answered tomorrow. So we always want to make sure you guys get your feedback and your questions answered because I know that's a big reason you're here and probably the most fun part of all of this. So yeah, let's dive into it, John.
Yeah, so cool. Okay, so first question. This is someone asking about using videos for ads or maybe for like a video series like you talked about during Traffic System. They said, do you think it's worth spending the money to create a well-produced one, or is it okay to just do iPhone videos for that stuff?
Okay, good question. So we're going to talk more about video creative when it comes to your actual ads when we get to the week that's about creatives. I think that's week 6. So we'll go really deep into kind of, hey, John, I think my internet might, hold on just a second. I might be gone for about 20 seconds, but for some reason, my internet has connected to the restaurant downstairs, and I don't think it's great quality. So I'm going to flip it really quick. Sorry about this, guys.
No worries. While Molly is dealing with that, I will answer a question for you guys. So the question was, how do you calculate your cost per acquisition for a webinar if you don't have any prior data to compare to? And that is a really great question. It's really, really hard to make smart decisions when you haven't done any of this stuff before, but luckily there are a few ways you can get some good senses of what performance will look like. So the company WordStream puts out these different benchmarks every year.
Okay,
They look
I'm
at
back.
lots and lots of spend on paid traffic.
Hello.
Hey, I'm answering a question real quick and then we'll throw it
Oh,
back to
sorry.
you.
I didn't hear you. I was like, am I here?
No, no
Is
worries.
everybody still here? Okay, cool.
You're all good. So WordStream has like $1 billion worth of paid traffic data spent through it every year, and they come up with benchmarks for what click-through rate or cost per lead look like in these different verticals. So if you don't have any information about what to expect for the cost for getting someone to sign up for a webinar, a good place to start is to go look at WordStream's data for the last year and find your specific industry. So if you're a lawyer, it's going to be more expensive. I think it's something like an average of $16 a lead for them. And if you're in e-commerce, it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be an average of like $4 a lead. But that will give you a good starting point. And then as you start to drive traffic and think about this, you'll be able to adjust your expected cost per acquisition based on what you've seen. And looking at funnel performance from your site as well, what you see typically when someone opts in for their rate to convert to a buyer, you can factor that in from other funnels to give you your starting benchmark. And then as you spend money, you'll be able to refine your goals. So hopefully that helps.
Awesome. Thanks for hopping in there, John. Okay,
Yeah,
so
no
back
worries.
back to the video question. So during, I believe, week 6, we'll dive way deeper into video creative. When it comes to video from an ad perspective, you can kind of go either way. I tend, and it depends on the brand, it depends on where you are in the customer journey. So that's why I'm not giving a blanket answer, but I do tend to lean more towards native videos. Again, depending on the brand, especially if it's more of a personality, I like to tend to lean more towards native. So, recording on your iPhone, something that looks like just a post that a regular person would make on Facebook almost. Like that's usually what I'm trying to replicate in a video ad. Now, there is a time and a place for brands like Boom who are at a bit larger of scale. They're going a bit more for branding, even though direct response is still important, but they've kind of saturated their market. So it is a bit more of a repetition play for a brand like that. And I would say any consumable, especially any brand that someone's gonna like put on their skin or digest or that like affects someone's personal health, I would say that going a bit more high end and hiring someone to do it. I know that a lot of the video creatives that Boom is using were actually made by an agency that Facebook teams up with to just help people create higher quality video ads, and they're really well done. So I mean, it can work either way. We'll dive more into that. But when it comes to like last week when I was talking about the free video series at the top end of the funnel and creating those content delivery videos, I do feel that those should be as high end as you are able to produce. So I'm not saying that you should wait until you can afford like a video person or a team to come set up and do it. I definitely don't think you should wait for that. But if you do have the budget for that, I would recommend it just because once someone opts in and they start to consume the content, I do believe there's a trust factor there, or this person is invested in this, or they're qualified enough to be able to like produce this video quality at this level that this means something to me as the consumer. But again, don't wait for that. If you need to record it on your laptop through Zoom, that's totally fine if that's, what you're doing to get proof of concept. But I think when you are producing videos as deliverables, whether they're lead magnets or video series, the quality of them, and this goes for every part of your lead magnet, whether it's a PDF or whether it's a video, I do believe that investing in the quality of that makes a big difference, because it is the first impression that the consumer is having with you, and they will have a higher perceived value of that information because it's presented in that way. Versus the reason that I tend to go a bit more native with ads is because I'm really working with Facebook's algorithm and what they're rewarding, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about Thursday. And more native or personal style videos tend to generate more social proof because they don't look like an ad. And that helps us as advertisers. So it very much depends on what you're doing, but that's a great question.
Yeah, and that's also a great answer. So next one, and we've got two more, and then we'll get into the Facebook stuff. But someone said, is giving a coupon to get people to come to my store, like 20% off, a traffic system?
Good question. So, I mean, it definitely wouldn't be a traffic system, because a traffic system is multiple steps of a customer journey, like multiple campaigns working together to move someone from completely unaware of your business to a repeat customer, if that's something that you have in your business. So, a coupon, that could be the offer for one of the campaigns that is a step in your traffic system. I would say that coupons are mostly used in the retargeting stage to help people overcome a barrier to price. If for some reason the price is the reason that they're not buying. I rarely see it work, especially if you're using it in exchange for an email address at the top of funnel to cold paid traffic, just because I don't believe it's strong enough of an offer unless you're e-commerce and unless you're really choosing that butter chicken funnel that Ezra covered on Friday, and you're driving right to product page and you're wanting to get proof of concept that you can drive paid traffic to your product and convert, which is really only for e-commerce. That is when giving a coupon could help. But I don't even recommend necessarily going to a squeeze page in that scenario to ask for an email address to get that coupon code to then have them go use that coupon code, unless of course you're selling through like Amazon and you're not wanting to drive directly to the Amazon listing. The reason for that is that because your goal is proof of concept in terms of generating purchases to cold traffic, again, e-commerce, I'm just going to keep saying that so there's not confusion. If that is your goal, we don't want to stick something like 20% off, squeeze page in front of that, because that's not really what you're wanting, and you don't need to generate that lead to build any sort of trust right off the bat, because you are e-commerce. And we talked a lot about this at the beginning of my session last week. So if you are going to use the 20% off and you are e-commerce and you want to use it as your offer to cold traffic, you can promote it. And you'll see me do this a lot. For example, a client that I used to have, Panda Planner, or ODG Apparel, the Christian apparel brand that you guys are seeing behind the scenes of over the course of this class, that 10% or 15% or 20% off is something that I do offer in our ads to cold traffic. But I'm not sending them to a page to ask to their email or ask for their email address. It's either a coupon code that I'm giving in the ad copy, and or maybe as a part of a banner on the page that they're landing on the product page or the sales page. But I'm not necessarily making them opt in for it. So hopefully that makes sense, Sean. And again, it's such an it depends answer. That's why some of my answers, guys, have to be kind of long and in depth. It's just, it depends on your business type. It depends on where you are in the customer journey. But mostly where I see discounts work really well, of course, as I said at the beginning, is for retargeting and helping to overcome price barriers. But I do find that with e-commerce, giving a little discount on the front end to cold traffic, if possible, if that works. You don't see Boom doing this. Boom doesn't give a discount until you add to cart and abandon, right? The messenger campaign where they give the 10% off, you guys saw that in week 1. That's the first time that Boom gives a discount. But but it can be a strategy that works on the front end. So great question, and thank you for asking.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that's one that comes up a lot since we do have so many e-commerce businesses in here. So that's a really great in-depth look. And then our last one, it's a local business. In this case, I think they're selling
Awesome.
Invisalign. They were
Right.
wondering if
I need
a video
Invisalign.
series, like a mini class, do you think that's a good tool for a local business like that?
Great question. I actually have experience in a similar type business. I work with a friend who has a marketing agency for LASIK practices all across the US and Canada, which is really interesting and kind of similar to this because it's more of a it's an electoral procedure, I guess is the right way to put it. Like LASIK or Invisalign are not something that any of us necessarily need, but it's something extra that, like, for example, I decided to have LASIK. It's something that can enhance our lives. So I think that's a really fun business type to run ads for. And a lot of what we do for these LASIK businesses and the ads that we're running are educational based. So like the complete guide to LASIK, we have videos of the doctor in that local area that this person has most likely engaged with, talking about the big questions like, does LASIK hurt is the top question, because it's a laser, and that's a lot of people's first question, like, does this hurt? Right? I know I thought of that. The second biggest question is around pricing, because it can be quite expensive. So we also have videos around that. We have a pricing calculator where people can figure out whether having LASIK is going to be cheaper or more expensive than contacts or glasses, like whatever they're based on their age and which of those they're wearing currently, or both, and how much money they're spending. That's a real fun one. So I'm throwing out these ideas because I'm saying, like, yes, content and video series and any type of information like that you can provide is really going to help your traffic system, because especially with a local business, you're not going to have trouble reaching these people. It's just about really taking any of them that show interest. So maybe they're saying, I'm interested in Invisalign, which means I have, crooked teeth or something that I want to fix, or, hey, I'm interested in LASIK, therefore I don't have the best eyesight, right? Like, once those people raise those hands through cold traffic ads, it is usually a long sales cycle until you get them to convert into a surgery or even into a consult. And so video series, or even just one-off videos or guides or calculators like I just discussed, can be hugely valuable. And we use those to really warm people up, and then we give them a big discount. So John, we've got like, I think it's a $1,500 discount, because they're willing to discount that much to generate a customer, and it makes sense with these LASIK practices. So then we start to retarget them with a $1,500 off offer, which is where most people convert. They convert into a free consultation, then they come in for the visit, and then they have the surgery. And so we're retargeting them through those steps. So yes, the answer is, I do think free videos or a free video series. I don't know if you need to take people through a whole series, but even just creating videos that answer the most frequently asked questions, or especially for Invisalign, there's such an amazing before and after there that you can see. Like with LASIK surgery, only I can see the difference. Like, you guys wouldn't visually look, I mean, I don't have glasses, but you're not really seeing the difference, where with Invisalign, there's a huge before and after there. So I think even just using videos or a video series to maybe go through someone's journey or a few people's journey and show that would be really powerful, and then just making them a no-brainer offer to actually get them in the office for the consult. So yeah, I'm excited you're here. That's a great business type for ads because there's such profitability there with something like LASIK or something like Invisalign. And because it's a local business, it's not that expensive to reach that market. And if you just have some great content and you know how to engage them, because Lord knows that most of the other local businesses don't, sadly, and you have a great offer to really get them in the door, wow, this can be hugely profitable for these practices. I was just looking at our numbers and it was something crazy like um, we are driving like 10 times the amount of surgeries than they were a year ago just without these Facebook and Google ads. So yeah, really pumped for you.
Awesome. All right. Well, that takes us through all of our questions from last Thursday. So we can start to dive into what's going on in the Facebook group.
Let's do it. All right. This is fun, guys. And again, if I don't get to your question right now on this call, no worries. Tomorrow, I'm going to be recording videos and answering anything left open in the group. So don't panic. That's step one. Remember, rule one, don't panic. Okay, Marcella, hello. She says, hi, Molly. What are the best strategies to get leads and create a community besides a giveaway? So Marcella, I'm wondering if you watched last Thursday's training with me. I would pick one of those acquisition funnels that we recommended, whether it was the three-step funnel, whether it was the webinar, the free video series, just giving away a lead magnet. Definitely check out the session by Russ Henneberry that we are or we have or either have or are adding to the bonus area, all about lead magnets, because I actually don't recommend using giveaways, honestly, especially to cold traffic. I think giveaways can be great middle and bottom of funnel, and I do think there is a time where you might be able to take a giveaway to cold traffic, but I just don't find them to be a great evergreen funnel. And a lot of times you're going to attract people who aren't actually willing to buy something or don't have the intent to solve a certain problem, or they're just kind of looking for free stuff. So, with Boom, we do a giveaway every month, giving away some free product, but it's mostly used for retargeting and a little bit at top of funnel. And they're kind of used as like little monetization or little flash sale campaigns. So I would recommend going through Thursday's training and building a lead magnet, or truly building like a video series, or just something that is very valuable that would also call out your audience, resonate with your audience, and begin that discussion towards whatever it is you're wanting to sell in terms of your product or service. So yeah, definitely check that out and let me know what you think. All right, next up is Leah. Okay, hey Molly, just had a question on testing. Great. I'm going to be going deeper into my testing structures on Thursday. I'm pumped about that. If you are trying to test multiple lookalike audiences, such as add to cart, okay. So honestly, I don't use a lot of lookalike audiences because I don't find them to be very scalable. I'll talk about that more in week 5. I also don't tend to break them out into multiple ad sets, because when you do that, it tends to provide just smaller audience sizes than you're looking for if you're really wanting to scale. I also, with lookalike audiences, don't really come at it from like a which one is better standpoint, because I'm just grateful for each one that I have, because I know that there aren't an infinite amount of lookalikes that I can create for each ad account, like there are, for example, with interest targeting. Like there are only so many lookalike audiences that I can create off of people who have purchased, or top time spent on site, or add to cart. So it's not really testing them against each other. It's understanding that they're inherently different. And I hope that they all work. And I usually bundle them together. And we call it a super lookalike audience, where we will mesh, even when testing multiple lookalike audiences together, to try to achieve a potential audience size of about 500,000 to 3 million, depending on your business. And we'll talk more about that on Thursday. So I know I'm not answering your question, but the reason I'm doing so is just because I don't inherently, like, this isn't the way I set up ads, and I don't look at lookalikes as things that should be tested versus one another. If you do subscribe to that way of thinking, then I would just recommend putting them in their own ad sets. I do not recommend using CBO for testing. If you are forced to CBO, the way that you test is by putting each of these in their own campaign with just one ad set a piece, with each audience, of course, differentiating between those ad sets and those campaigns. If you still do have budget at the ad set level as an option, then I would split it out like you have here, where each ad set has, okay, so yeah, option 2 is what I would choose if you're using CBO. But okay, then you said you're assuming they're phasing ABO. Okay, so anyways, you get what I'm saying. But if you do have ABO, I would still use it and just create a new ad set for each of these audiences. But again, I don't really believe that you really need to test these against one another. I would more be lumping them together and testing them against other ad sets full of interests and other targeting options that are a bit more scalable and infinite, which I'm going to go deep into not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So thank you for the question. And let's keep rocking and rolling, John. I'm going to take a quick sip of water.
Cool. And on that, Leah just pinged me and said the lookalike audiences she's working with are 4 to 6 million. So I assume the advice is the same, but just wanted to make sure you knew it is a bigger audience size, I would say.
Cool. All right. So up next is Ray. Hey, Molly, John, how do we allocate budget if the customer's ad spend is only $600 to start? Cold, warm, and or retarget? Okay, good question. So again, this depends. If they already have warm audiences and you are running their ads and you want a quick win, then I would spend most of that budget on retargeting just so that you can start to realize some revenue and make your money back a lot quicker and say, hey, we are generating some revenue over here. But generally, with any traffic system, I'm usually spending about 60% of the budget on cold traffic, so people who have never heard of us before, about 30 to 40% on warm traffic. So, anyone who's engaged with the brand before but just hasn't purchased. So all of my retargeting audiences, and then about 10%, about 5 to 15 really, or 5 to 20% cross-selling and upselling people who have bought from us in the past. So if I were you and they do have a warm audience that you can retarget and start to make your money back, I would do that first. But generally, I use that 6, 3, 1. And of course, there are some slight variations in there, that formula to split that up. So awesome. Thank you, Ray. And then up next is Sean. Hey, awesome to be a part of this group. We think so too. Thanks for being here. Quick question before we start. For a dental initial offer, what if the customers don't bite for a free teeth cleaning? Have any other suggestions? So what I've seen work the best is free teeth whitening, because a lot of people have teeth cleaning as a part of their insurance and it's already covered. And I think you've answered this below anyways, Sean. I don't think it's as sexy of an offer as something that's a bit more cosmetic like whitening. So I would definitely go with a free teeth whitening. That offer usually works for dentists, especially if you're selling more cosmetic services. So, alrighty. Next up, Nitri. Hello, fellow TMT peers. Hello, hello. I have a question for today's Q&A, which is a follow-up question from last week. And it looks like you've tagged Ez in this. So I'm going to see if I can answer this, but if I feel that Ezra can answer it better, we might pass this off to him. So Ezra told me that in order to use Zipify for WooCommerce, I need to create, yeah, this is way out of my realm. I'm sorry, but we will tag Ezra and Steve here and get this answered for you. So sorry, this is not my forte, but part of this is being able to say when something isn't your forte. Alrighty, Danny said, hey guys, thanks so much for the training so far. You're great teachers and I've learned so much. That makes me feel really good. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Gustavo and I, who work together at Borel River, are fired up. All right, let's get fired up. For the sake of our learning during the course, we'll be taking charge of the, sorry, it's, hey, John, would you mind to scroll up a little bit? I lost. Okay, for the sake of our learning during the course, Gustavo will be taking charge of the Borel River rescue campaigns, and he'll be submitting that work for feedback, and I'll be doing the same for the adventures. We're working on this together. So here's some work for feedback. I won't be able to be on today's live Q&A. Okay, so it looks like this is a bit more strategy. Let's save this for the overflow, John, especially since he's not here and I can just record a video tomorrow and get some more in-depth feedback. But pumped that you guys are there and I'm already liking what I'm hearing in terms of your brand. Sounds really fun and I love to adventure and go on crazy trips outside. This all looks right up our alley. John, you and I might end up on a river adventure. How do you feel about that?
That sounds pretty amazing. I'm a big fan. Ocean, a little much. River, just right. So I'm all about it.
Same. I'm all about it. Maybe during the summer in between TMTP classes so we can really be off the grid. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead down to this next question. Tebin, I'm probably not saying that correctly, but thanks for being here, buddy. Questions from sessions 2.1 with Molly and Ezra. Okay, is it a good idea, more or less expensive, to send people to a chatbot in Messenger to deliver the lead magnet instead of a landing page? So it's hard for me to say whether it's cheaper or not cheaper. I've seen it work both ways. It's something that you'll have to test. I will say that I do like proving it through a regular landing page first and just having that anyways, and then adding the bot on as another possible channel, which we'll talk more about during the messenger session that we have later on in the class. So I think the best way to say it is they attract different types of people in your market too. So it's great to have both for scale. So I would first go with the landing page and then build the bot, and you can test them side by side. But this is really similar to the question about testing lookalikes. For me, it's not about which is cheaper. This is about scale because there are some people that simply aren't willing to click over and opt in for a landing page anymore. They would prefer to click, have something open in Messenger, and that's the experience that would get them to convert. So I don't look at it necessarily as which one is better. I look at it as, okay, I got proof of concept for this lead magnet. People are willing to opt in for it on my landing page. What other experiences can I offer, or what other communication channels can I use like chat that will allow me to reach more people because I'm willing to change the medium, but I'm keeping the conversation the same. And I think that's a huge marketing lesson for everybody on this call. Number 2, client is a financial mindset coach. So is it a good idea to sell the leads something cheap before selling them a mid-ticket offer, which will happen 6 weeks after they opt in? It's really up to you. It kind of depends on the front end offer that you want to use. If you want to go lead magnet to smaller dollar and then wait a few weeks to sell them more expensive, something more expensive, of course, you just want to make sure you have some content and communication between those few weeks, but that can work well. I also don't see anything wrong with you trying opt-in directly to the mid-ticket offer, or even trying something like a webinar or a video series that's going ahead and making that mid-ticket offer, just so that you can realize your revenue a bit quicker than having to wait a few weeks, as you're saying here, which can make scalability a little bit less predictive, because the further the sales cycle, the kind of longer you have to wait, or I don't know, John, what's the best way to say this? Like, if something goes wrong and I know my sales cycle is 6 weeks, well, I might be buying traffic for 6 weeks before I really see the effects of that. Whereas if I'm running traffic directly to a webinar and I know that the webinar is happening within a few days and then the conversion happens usually within a few days after that, well then, people are most likely to buy in that first week or two. And so it's a bit less risky. So that's a way to think about that. And you've got lots of options there. And this is similar to question 1, where I would try to pick one and really nail it and make sure that you get proof of concept on the lower ticket offer and the mid ticket offer first. And then you can introduce all different types of funnels in here for scale, so that you can appeal to more people in your market. It's where things really, really start to get fun. So number 3, how do you compare if it's good or bad your CPA to a webinar if you don't have previous data? You really can't. I mean, you can make guesses, right? You can definitely formulate what your goal would be based off of the profitability of that particular product or products and what you're selling and kind of what you're hoping to make. But it can be difficult to just set CPA goals, because the market matters, the funnel that you're using matters, like I said, the sales cycle matters. I mean, all of this plays into it. So a lot of it, and the reason that the first 6 to 7 weeks of this class are teaching you how to build the most badass Facebook campaigns possible is because I want to make sure that you get off the ground with momentum, that you're able to fix anything that you're currently doing, but also, especially for those of you guys just getting started, you can start to get data back so that you know what a reasonable CPA might be or what it might not be. Now, that said, if you do tell me at any time, this is the market I'm in, this is the funnel I'm using, here's my CPA, I can generally tell you whether that's good or bad, or John can, just because we have so many data points of past students and things that we've seen. But until you've really given something a shot and sold something first, it can be hard to calculate that CPA. So how do you break even creating leads, new customers, if the lead magnet is free? So you break even because you're, having people opt in, but then of course you're selling them something afterwards. So for example, during our launches for Train My Traffic Person, we will spend, I'm just throwing numbers out there. Let's say we are willing to spend 50 grand for a week to do lead generation because I know X amount of those people are going to convert into this program. And I know pretty much, because we've done this a few times based off of the numbers, how it's going to work out. And it's why the first time we did this, we started with a very, very small budget, like $5,000, I think, because we didn't know how it was going to work out. But I mean, how do you break even? It's because you're using the lead magnet to start the conversation to then sell them something. So you're paying for the lead because you need to build that trust. I mean, it's everything that I talked about last Thursday. You need to build that relationship first. You need to qualify that person also, right? Before you try to sell them information or coaching or software or anything other than e-commerce. And then you break even by selling your other stuff. So I would recommend, if that concept is something you're struggling with, go back to Thursday's session, because if you dive into any of those funnels, I think that the mechanics of that make sense. But let me know if there's something I'm not explaining well in that area. And then when you give a free appetizer in a restaurant as a lead magnet, when and how do you deliver the upsell? P.S. In order to claim the offer, they need to enter the chatbot. So the best thing to do is Google perpetual traffic, Mackenzie Lieberman, and she has a session on perpetual traffic that goes into detail about how she gives away a free appetizer through a chatbot and upsells them and all of that. We can also tag her here in the group, John, but she can explain that better than I can. So I'm going to take another quick sip of water here. And Mac is in this group too, and she's willing to help. So any questions around bots or stuff like that with local businesses, feel free to tag her. The reason that I call people in like that sometimes, guys, is like, especially with things like local, I have experience, but not as much as people that specialize in that. So I just want you to have just access to people who are doing this day in and day out. Okay, so Amy Ross, hello, dear. This may be a dumb question, no dumb questions, but can you define just what you mean about funnels being scalable? I thought that when the word scalable is mentioned, it means to take what you already have and expand it. Client list, audience, email list, ROIs. When you're building funnels, you are starting from one spot and growing your email client list, not yet scaling. Am I wrong about the terminology? So scaling basically just means doing more with, right? So you could scale the number of people on your website, you could scale your email list, you could essentially scale your return on ad spend. I don't really like thinking about it that way because businesses are mostly scaled by acquisition of volume of customers, right? It's not all about return on ad spend. And I think I went on a little Molly rant about that in the first Q&A. So when it comes to funnels, most funnels, or really all funnels, should have kind of one success metric that we're looking at. There are always secondary metrics that we're looking at that judge the success, but there's kind of one thing that we should be wanting to get out of a particular funnel. It's why I put goals in Thursday's session for each of the funnel types so that you guys know what to expect from them and how you should be measuring them. And so scalability means how likely is this funnel to be able to get you a high volume of that particular result or of those particular results. So some funnels are much more scalable than others. So let me give you an example. A funnel where you are running a 5-day flash sale, 50% discount on your product for the next 4 days only, super monetization campaign, that is not very scalable. It doesn't mean that that can't be very profitable for you, but we can't take that out to a lot of people. So I guess what I mean when I'm talking about scaling funnels is really the ability to reach the highest volume of people as possible, whether that's through leads generated, customers generated, both. So with the flash sale funnel, it could be very profitable, but it's not super scalable because usually only people that are familiar with your business and have a bit of trust or interest in you are truly going to bite on a super flash sale monetization campaign like that, right? Like that's not something that we would just take out to cold traffic. So something way more scalable than that is a funnel that I shared with you Thursday, something that leads with value first. That is going to appeal to so many more people out there in your market than just showing up and saying, hey, are you ready to buy this? Because, people don't have that relationship with you, and or they just might not have the need to solve, they might have not be experiencing that pain point, or they just might not be interested. So, scale can mean so much. Scale essentially means getting more of, and this is definitely not a dumb question, but, the scaling of funnels for me is way more about generating volume of results because that is truly what is going to scale a business, right? Here's the example, the two ways to look at this. Someone could say, oh my gosh, I'm getting a 50 return on ad spend on my campaign, right? You hear that a lot with gurus in this space, and people are like, oh my God, I want a 50 return on ad spend. And you ask them, okay, how many customers did you generate? 5, right? Maybe they generated 15 leads and 5 customers. I'm not laughing at those numbers, but let's compare that to, okay, maybe my return on ad spend was 2 or 5, kind of in more of a healthy range. But I was able to generate 150 leads and 50 customers. It's deceiving to want the 50 return on ad spend because it sounds like a heck of a lot of money, but when put into perspective of volume of scale, it's not only way less money when it comes to money in your pocket, but it's also a way smaller volume of leads and customers that you have the ability to follow up with later, which is where true scale of a business comes from. So anyways, going down a Molly rabbit hole here, John, I will go ahead and stop there, but let me know if you guys have any more questions on that. Definitely not a dumb question there, Amy. And I think that's good for everybody to hear here. So
very, very true.
And it looks like Meryl has a similar question. Last call, you mentioned that not all funnels are scalable. Can you please elaborate on that? So, Meryl, just same question as Amy before you. I think I kind of went deep there, and good question. And now I know to go a bit deeper into why that is the case when I teach this next. And just because a funnel isn't super scalable doesn't mean it's valuable. It's not valuable, guys, right? Like the flash sale funnel that I talked to you about. I mean, it doesn't mean that that's not hugely valuable and that it doesn't make a company a lot of money. It's just not scalable in terms of volume of results, and it belongs further down the customer journey. When we're talking about cold end acquisition funnels, we are looking for stuff that is scalable. It's why with Boom, Ezra eventually couldn't just rely on sending traffic directly to the product page. That was no longer scalable for where he and his paid acquisition strategy and his brand were in the market. He needed to tack on something like a pre-sale article so that he could use a funnel that was more scalable. So great questions, guys. And then next up is Carl. Hey, Carl. Question for today's Q&A. Does Boom use double email opt-in for their lead magnets? Would you or would you not use double opt-in for an e-com brand's pop-up? No, they don't use double opt-in, and no, I wouldn't recommend it, Carl. We can go deeper into why if you want to, but just short, quick, I don't recommend double opt-in unless for some reason you really, really need to do it. A lot of times you're just going to see such lower conversion rates, and it's not usually that much bigger of like a trust indicator. In my opinion, not that necessary. Disagree with me if you feel if you want to, John, but that's definitely how I feel on that.
You're definitely right. I would really recommend choosing an email platform if you haven't picked already that allows you to do single opt-in, because the rate is so much better. And if you do email marketing with any sort of skill, which you can pick up just sort of as we casually talk about it incidentally in here, you're going to get way better results than if you do double opt-in. So I always recommend do single.
Awesome. Great questions. Okay, next up is Natalie. Hi, dear. Okay, so we sell an exercise ball. Awesome. We have different avatars. Awesome. For the time being, we're working on 2 of them. One being the person who wants to use it for fitness at home, and another, and I am your avatar, and I'm actually interested in using one of these possibly sometimes at my desk. So Natalie, that could be another avatar for you. Excuse me. So the other is for pregnancy, birthing, breastfeeding, and just general fitness after and during pregnancy. I've posted 2 ads. One was written poorly and the other wasn't. Here are the 2 ads. The one with the body ball was given a lookalike audience. Pretty much everyone who liked the post accepted the invite to follow our company. The one with the pregnant lady, I used a customized audience for people who are pregnant. Okay, hey John, this is one. Let's put this on the overflow so that I can really dig deep into these. Natalie, I like what you're thinking here and your strategy is good. I wouldn't use like asking people to like a page as a proof of concept though. I think we need a better front end offer that we're using for testing here to truly judge proof of concept. I think there's probably also a lot in terms of ad copy, creative targeting that I'm already seeing without even opening these that can be improved in a big way that's going to change big time over the next few weeks. But I'll go ahead and shoot you a video tomorrow on this. So just remind me on that, John. Got it on my list. Okay, and then next up, we've got a question mark next to this one. So, hey Molly, am I doing something different? I don't see, I don't see the CBO option when starting a new conversion campaign. Here's a snap of what I'm seeing. Okay, yeah, mine is usually here for some reason, but as Josie pointed out here, a lot of your alls is going to be at the ad set level. So this is the campaign level. We'll talk more about this on Thursday. You'll see my CBO a lot of times right here, but most of yours is going to be at the ad set level. I have no idea. All of ours ads managers are always going to be at different stages of being, and mine is usually very different. I think, I don't know why. I could tell you why I think, but anyways, it looks like this was handled. So no sweat there. Okay, thank you, by the way, Josie. You're awesome as always. She went through TMTP last time and she's back for round 2. She loved it so much. You're awesome. Okay, was there one we just scrolled by on accident, John?
It was intentional.
Oh, okay.
They tagged Ezra in it, so I was just gonna hand it off to him.
Okay, yeah, we'll tag him in Slack. So um, all of these are put very neatly into Slack by the team. So thank you guys for making sure these get answered. Okay, Helen. I was watching Molly's, hey Helen, by the way, I was watching Molly's video acquisition funnel during section 3, and she talks about lead magnet training from Russ. Where can I find that? Did we put that in there yet, John? The session where Russ is just teaching all about lead magnets?
Oh man. I will check. Why don't you take the next question and I will double check that for you right now. Because I feel like I put everything you mentioned in there, but that one may have slipped through the cracks. So I will report
Okay.
back shortly.
And that was from STL. So if for some reason you're having trouble getting the source file of that, that's not with everybody else's session, just let me know and I'll ask Russ for his original, and I can just drop it as a Dropbox in here and we'll get it in the members area. So yeah, we'll figure that out, guys. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Okay, next up is Amber. Would love your thoughts on this. I run a copywriting business geared towards health and wellness businesses. Awesome. So guys, hire Amber. Doctors, products, in-person events, and digital products. I write blogs, product descriptions, launch copy, and emails and websites. Dang girl, you do it all. I'm following the free service to upsell offer. My front-end offer idea is to do a short, ungated 20-minute webinar video explaining the importance of unbound marketing with stats, showcasing results from copy I've done since most don't know what copy is, then encouraging them to book a call for a free copy audit for their blog or email. I'm thinking of showing this ad to my ideal clients as well as digital agencies. Okay, so I really like this, Amber, and there's such a need for this, especially in the health and wellness space, because most people in that space don't know how to write ad copy in a way that doesn't piss platforms like Facebook off or doesn't abide by rules. So, I mean, your services are so needed. Now, that said, I wouldn't actually go with the inbound marketing route. I'll just tell you from selling marketing information for 8 or so years now, anything like inbound marketing or like SEO, sorry to any of you guys out there, I just always find that it's not the sexiest topic to lead with because people want results now, or it just seems like a lot of work. But I do like the idea of most people don't know what copy is necessarily. And I like the idea of showcasing the results that you've done. So I think a really cool lead magnet that's sort of like a copy makeover for a health and wellness business you worked with and how the stats in their business changed. And some of the stats, of course, could be site visitors, right? You could speak to the inbound marketing stats, but just don't come out and be like, this is an inbound marketing video. Make it more about this is a case study. The only difference between before and after here was the copy. Here you can see the results and how much changed. And now that just repositioned a little bit, Amber, I think will perform so much better and make it so much more attractive to your end user. And I love the idea of the copy audit because it also sets you up to sell your services. And I think that will work really well. So just reposition your lead magnet a little bit. I love the copy audit. I even think that you could try driving cold traffic directly to the audit, especially if you're able to call out those health and wellness businesses easily. And if they feel like, it's for them, who wouldn't want a free audit? But yeah, I'm really pumped for you. Let me know if you have any questions and if that makes sense. And if guys, you're in the health and wellness space and you know you're not the strongest copywriter, go find Amber here in the group and see if y'all can work together. But very smart. I'm excited. Okay, up next is Eric. We're looking at launching a new meditation course. Awesome. John and I both work with Gabby Bernstein's, who is a thought leader, spiritual leader, teaches a lot about meditation. So we have some experience here. More accurately, a new method of meditation. Awesome. So something new to talk about. To our existing list of 4,500, and then to cold traffic. The course is self-paced and won't have a date. We're thinking it would be 147. It's 3 hours, downloadable handouts. So yeah, that price point sounds good. Would you still suggest a webinar launch for the cold audience? If so, since it's a lower priced offering, if so, any reason not to send our existing list an invite to the same webinar, or do something different since they are warm? And what do you think of the pricing? Some notes. Our list is generally not very generous with their wallets and stats or stays because of the good my business partner does with several Buddhist companies through his work in prisons. More to come later when I have a more refined version of the sales page. Okay, there are a few ways this could go. John, what do you think? Like price point wise, I don't know about a webinar just because it is it is a lower dollar if we're keeping this at 147, which I do feel is a fair price for what you're offering. Um, I feel like a webinar is a bit too much, but a free video training, like a short 20 to 30-minute training, maybe even free meditations. I know that works really well for stuff that we do, just giving away free meditations as a lead magnet. It also sets you up really well to sell a course because it's like, great, you have the meditations. Now, do you want to know what to do with it and actually how to meditate, or learn this new form of meditation? Try this class. I really think I actually really like that idea of offering the free meditations first and then upselling this class on the thank you page and for a week or so after someone opts in. And I think that the lead magnet is obviously especially important to cold traffic. I do think you should email your list the lead magnet, but you should also do some direct promotion around the course to your list too. So this should be a week or two promotion to your email list where you're kind of hitting both parts in case someone's not interested in opting in for the free lead magnet. What do you think, John?
Yeah, so I think giving away a meditation is a good idea. This to me is the perfect offer for what we call at Digital Marketer a splinter offer funnel. So you've
Yeah, which is
got a
like the three
course
part,
that's,
like the
not
first one.
insubstantial, right? You want to pull a little bit out of it. Yeah, so I mean, you pointed
Yeah.
out some potential options, Molly. What I would do is
Or
pick
the
what you
first
think is the
funnel
most
we,
awesome, exciting, interesting part of this course and do that. Because I mean, you can go in order, but like the thing I found that works best with splintering stuff out is you want to take the most awesome content you have and give that to people first, because they'll be able to get results from it. It'll really resonate with them, and it'll convince them to make the purchase. So it's kind of the you get someone to eat the entire meal by letting them have a bite of their dessert first. Is the strategy I would go with here. A lot of this meditation stuff, it takes a little bit of time to start to see results is the one challenge I see. I know that, like Molly mentioned, we work with Gabby Bernstein, and she does have some success putting meditation first, but she has a lot of books and other things that sort of help guide people to that point. So I
Mhm.
don't think people are beginners with meditation when they come to her. So
Yeah.
I would sell, a $7, $7, 3-day meditation um, guide or something like that. I haven't been through the course, so I don't know exactly what I would pull out, but really just something that you think is interesting and exciting from the course will make a very, very good splinter offer for this. And you can do it as a lead magnet, like Molly was saying, just give it away for free, or you can offer it as a very low dollar thing, like $7 or $14, something like that. So
Yeah.
that's my thoughts, Molly. But I do think that price
I
is
love it.
right about on par with what I've seen in the industry.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit cheaper, but if you don't have like a big name behind it, that's a perfect place to start.
Yeah, Eric, and so that's funnel option one from Thursday's training is what John's talking to. And then I was talking about four. So feel free to go back and forth with us a little bit more if you feel like you're not totally clear. But yeah, that's I'm excited for you. I think you could go either direction, and it's probably going to take a few tries here to figure out what works best, and what works to cold traffic isn't going to work, in the same way to warm traffic. So that's why I recommend making sure that you also have a direct promo to your warm traffic too. Okay, so John, I think this one for Ray would be great for the overflow because we've got a good
Yep,
amount
that
of
was my
stuff
thought as well.
there. Thanks, Ray. Really excited. I see Wild Gain sausage. It looks like you're selling some sauce. So I'm excited to check out your sauce. Hey, Christy, last week Ezra suggested to start our ads with a review with a star emoji, but how can I structure an ad for a new e-commerce store with no reviews and no social proof? So, Christy, just wait, not next week, but the following week with ad copy. I'm going to give you so many more directions to go with your copy that isn't just the 5-star. That's just a little tip, just one little option that Ezra gave you. So, do not worry if you're starting from scratch. I'm going to give you, I think now we have like 14 other copy chunks that we give and tons of more examples. So you will be totally fine there. All righty, next up is Anna. Okay. Anna, hello, dear. Can I lead my Facebook ad to a Zipify mini site offering my 3 best sellers design? I just wanted to keep the customer in the same place instead of showing more design options linked to my site before they purchase. Yeah, that makes sense. I see nothing wrong with that. It's really similar to you guys saw with the ODG apparel example that one of my cold traffic offers is I'm sending traffic to a collections page. So if you want to send to your 3 best designs and keep that focus, I see nothing wrong with that. And then you said, how do I organize ad creative and avatar? Can I run one creative with many different avatars? So I'll talk a lot about this as we build our campaigns over the next few weeks. You can do it either way though. You can either set it up to where you want to test every creative with every avatar if it makes sense, or you could say this creative is only built for this particular avatar. It's really however you want to do it and how different the avatars are. I will say that it's going to work best if you speak directly to your avatar and your ad copy and your creative. You visually show someone that's like them actually in the ad. I mean, that is where marketing becomes very powerful. So there are a lot of cases where not all creatives are going to work for every avatar, but it also depends on your type of business, which we'll talk about next week. Not every business has multiple avatars. Some people like Boom really only have one avatar, and those types of businesses, their creatives can be used, pretty much for all of their targeting. So good question, Anna, and I'm going to be going deeper into this. So more to come here. And then up next from Josh. Hey there, Josh. Here's my question. What are your thoughts on live webinars versus evergreen? I see the value in honing in your presentation and building rapport, though I worry about show up rates. Does ad budget factor into making this decision? So, okay, lots of thoughts here. I'm always about proving then automate. So I would always do a webinar live first and then automate it. I do think that if for any business that uses webinars, you should at least be doing 1 or 2 live webinars a year just to stay relevant and so that your people know that you still show up live. And I think that they'll always be more powerful, but you obviously aren't going to show up for a live webinar every day. So there is, a transition that needs to be made to scale your business to evergreen, or there's an opportunity to scale with evergreen. Of course, the show up rates are going to be lower. Of course, evergreen is never going to work exactly the way that live did because live is live. But with evergreen, we're making sales truly while we sleep and while we're away from our computers. So we really can't compare the two. There's a place for both of them. And really, I don't think the name of the game with webinars is as much about show up rates anymore. Most people know that with webinars, you're going to get a replay. Society is trained to get information when they want it. I mean, when we want to watch something, we go to Netflix. We don't wait for our program to come on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., right? That's not how most people are consuming media nowadays. So webinars are the same way. People know there are going to be replays. They really don't like to be in time constraints. I mean, hell, John, I think for our webinars, our show up rates are like 15%, which is really not great compared to 5 or 6 years ago. But guess what? that's okay with me because I know there's going to be a replay. I know that I'm going to use email marketing to get people to consume that replay. I know I'm going to use ads and retargeting to get people to consume that replay. And most of our people actually wait and watch the replay on their own time. And so I think it's less about worrying about the show up rates and getting people live. It's more about understanding how consumer behavior has changed in a huge way over the last 5 to 10 years that specifically directly affects this, and how can we change our marketing strategy a little bit to fit it so that more people consume the webinar, which we know leads to more sales. So I don't really think like budget factors into making this decision at all. Like this is apples, this is a apples to oranges situation here, and it's not a which one is better. And you guys will hear me say that for some reason our minds, I mean, this is just psychology, we like to know like what's better or what's going to work best. And a lot of times in marketing, and in marketing, that's so overplayed. It's like A/B testing, test, like what's going to work best. And usually like scale and getting this stuff to work is about multiple things working or something working for this particular moment of time, and then moving to a different strategy that best suits where we are now in this moment. So I just want you guys to tweak your thinking a little bit on that. And Josh, I'm pretty sure, John, we added the bonus video too below my session from Thursday about the launch that we did in September for TMTP, where we went into the campaigns we ran for the webinar registration and replay and all of that fun stuff. If you haven't watched that already, Josh, that would be good for you to watch just to see how I allocate all of that. And I would allocate the budget in the same way, whether it was evergreen versus just because that was live. So good question. I'm going to take another sip of
For
water
this
here.
next one, Molly, yeah, go for it. I was going to say, so the best way to get customer generated reviews and stuff, Ezra went literally step by step through how he does this on his session 2 training. So that is what I would recommend checking out. He is like, we do this page, we do this email, this email, this email. So he's got really granular process that he shared. So my advice is to check that out. I don't know if you have anything in particular you want to add to this, Molly, but I think we could just say, do what Ezra says, because it works pretty well, we've seen.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that, definitely do, Craig. And if you've watched that and you feel like you need more, just let us know. Okay. Hey, Trudy. Hope you're doing well. She said, Trudy Scott, food mood expert. I love that. Nutritionist, author of the anti-anxiety food solution. Wow, that's something that I've learned big time the past few years is how much our diet can affect anxiety or lack thereof. So I love that you're doing that, Trudy, and you're helping a lot of people. I appreciate any guidelines and cautions you can offer now and during the program on copy and creative, with me being in the mental health space and offering nutritional solutions for anxiety. Okay, Trudy, I'm going to talk a lot about this on Thursday when it comes to policy, and I'll actually be shooting you guys a separate video about policy because it's an important discussion and I can't fit it all in on Thursday. Especially in terms of health and just what you're talking about here. So I'll talk about that on Thursday. I don't want to just repeat the same stuff. So wait for Thursday on that. That will help you in a big way. You said, I'm known for my expertise in 3 specialized areas over and above using diet, therapy, food as medicine, using individual amino acids. Okay, yeah, this looks great. Honestly, the biggest advice that I can give for people in this market is just to never make or write ad copy or creative that could possibly make someone feel called out for having anxiety. So if they're scrolling through their feed, you would never want them to feel like Facebook has given you as the advertiser information that tells them that maybe the consumer has anxiety. That is what Facebook is trying to protect, and why terms of service is so tight in this particular market especially. So you never want to make people feel called out. So that means don't ask questions. Like you would never want to say, hey, do you have anxiety? Question mark. Where in my market, I could say, hey, are you struggling with Facebook ads? Question mark. And it would be totally fine. But for you in this space, unfortunately, you just can't do that. I definitely wouldn't use the words you. I definitely wouldn't speak to any before or after, like, oh, this person was like in terms of a meet Sarah, she was anxious and now she's not. Facebook's going to be particularly touchy around stuff like that, but I'll go deeper into this, Trudy, and really excited to have you here. Ooh, and then I saw this question come in. I'm happy to answer these. So Trudy says she has questions about the docuseries, the Christian one that I showed you guys Thursday. She's actually friends with Jeff Hayes, our buddy who runs that business. So that's awesome. And she promotes many of his health docuseries, which is cool. So my questions are related to Jeff's campaigns. Great. I will rattle these off. This is also a project that John worked on, which is kind of cool. So our Facebook leads is valuable as leads from someone's email list. So she means affiliate leads. That really depends, Trudy. It depends on who the affiliates are. You also have to keep in mind, it depends on the cost in which you are acquiring the leads from Facebook and the payout that you have negotiated with your affiliates. So that's really going to depend on the mechanics of that particular project. So of the films that I've worked with Jeff on, which I think is about 5 now, the answer would be different for all of those because the cost per lead is different for all of them. The volume of leads is different from Facebook. And then of course the affiliate, who the affiliates are different, and the payout percentages are different. So it's really, really hard to say. I can't answer that. But I do know that when Jeff added Facebook ads on as a traffic system, it like tripled the business because he wasn't having to rely on affiliates anymore. He could actually control the volume of leads coming into the funnel. And we knew if we kept it under a certain cost per lead, it was going to be profitable and really, really fun. Leading up to the launch, did they send folks to the Summit Reg page or to a gift landing page, sign up for a gift and get registered too? No, we always go directly to a landing page that explains the docuseries, and they're opting in for that. No free gift stuff. You said 157,000 leads, a little over $1 each. Is that typical or low end or high end for Summit's docuseries? And over what period was this, like 3 to 4 weeks? I think that period was about 2 to 3 weeks. This is a higher volume than normal because the Christian market is huge. I mean, it's a religion. And especially when we ran that campaign, the market wasn't very saturated with docuseries. So, for other docuseries like the keto one that I work with that we're about to do again, in about 2 weeks, we'll generate more like 50 to 70,000 leads, around $2 a piece. Whereas with the docuseries that are more in the financial space, we might only generate like 20,000 leads at like $5 a piece because that market is a lot more competitive and expensive. But it's okay because all of those funnels are working out to even more than break even, make a little bit of a profit. And we just understand that all of the markets perform a bit differently, and that's okay. So is the site Christ Revealed still live and offers free 8-day viewing? Have you seen Facebook ads this kind of evergreen summit offer be of value? I'm pretty sure it's still live. I'm not sure if it's evergreened, but yeah, we evergreened this for about a year. Honestly, most people involved just lost interest in the project and had moved on to so many new docuseries that this kind of got put to the wayside, which was a shame because it's an amazing offer and the market loves it. And it's really valuable. It does well. But yeah, of course, this can totally be evergreened. You host your own anxiety summit. You want to do traffic campaigns like Jeff's. You said pick one campaign first. Can I do this concurrently with my product offering, or should I wait until week 7 to do this? Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with focusing around that summit as what you're going to build all these assets for the next few weeks. So I don't see any issue there. You said your thinking is to learn how to do this now for online summits you're promoting and then apply for your summit. So yeah, just apply it to whatever summit or docuseries, whatever you want to call it, that you're working on right now, so that you can start to get data back after 7 weeks if possible, so you can get ads live, because those docuseries actually currently exist. And yeah, it's such a fun model to run ads to. I still have docuseries. I don't work directly with Jeff anymore, but I work with other docuseries now that are just as exciting, and the funnel is just gives so much value and entertainment first that it works really well. It's a fun game to play as a media buyer. So excited for you, Trudy. Let's keep rocking and rolling, John. This is fun.
Okay.
We're knocking a bunch of stuff out here.
Yeah, you're doing it good. So I was going to say I've got 6 questions kind of sitting in my box that have come in that I haven't really been able to answer, or I think you should answer. So maybe
Yeah.
we'll do another 5 to 8 minutes of Facebook group, and then everything else will dump into the overflow bucket.
Okay, and then I'll just really quick say for this one, I didn't even read the whole thing, but I know what he's asking. So he's trying to duplicate social proof. It looks like that this ad, you were using dynamic creative. And whenever you use, whenever you customize placements like that, that is going to cause you to not be able to use the post IDs. So I will talk more about that on Thursday, but the reason you're not able to use the post ID is because of the customized placements here. And then, yeah, let's rock and roll into those 6 other questions, John. And then, guys, I will get, yeah, it looks like we've got some more detailed questions here. And I will get you guys answers on these tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. So Eric's, oh no, actually I answered this one for Eric. So Susie said, how do you define break even? Like what goes into deciding that this campaign is breaking even or is not?
I mean, it depends on your business model, what type of business you have, but it basically means that you at least made your money back. So, based off of cost of goods sold, I mean, based off of essentially the cash flow in your business, right? And what you can afford to pay for a customer with that leftover profit, that is breaking even, right? It's being willing to essentially not generate a profit for that. Sorry, guys, it's getting a little late here. Being willing to not generate a profit for that particular engagement with that person in order to acquire them as a customer, because you know they're going to spend, most people are going to spend more money with you as time goes on. So that's what I mean by break even.
Awesome. And then a different Susie, I think, asked, are you allowed to use before and after images on Facebook?
It depends on the market. You definitely can't in the health and fitness space at all. But for example, you could use a before and after for, hey, in this before, your cat's litter is all over the floor. And in your after, because you're using this amazing mat, there's no litter on the ground. Or before, you were a really stressed business owner, and afterwards, you're not. But I would never do anything that has to do with the physical body, right? So before you have acne, after you don't. No, I would never do that. Or before you're overweight, after you're not. I would never do that either. So nothing to do with anyone's personal attributes. Otherwise, you can do that.
Awesome. So I forgot to write down who asked this, but someone said, how do I know if I'm hitting the right CPA when I'm scaling to cold traffic? Our ideal would be, let's call it $20. If I increase my budget, when the CPA is around $25, am I telling Facebook that I'm okay with that higher CPA? And thus, should I only increase my budget when they're at or below their goal?
Yeah, totally. I mean, if your campaigns are exceeding that particular success metric for that stuff in your traffic system, which it sounds like for this one, it's CPA, my first step is to set my budget back to the point of last return when it actually was at a CPA that is good for me. If that doesn't fix it after a day or two, then I turn the campaign off and I create a new one based off of my findings. So you definitely don't want to be scaling and increasing budgets when your campaigns aren't meeting their success metrics. So we'll talk a lot more about that, but I always set up a green, yellow, red system, which I'll talk more about. But basically, if it's within this CPA, so maybe it's less than $20, then I'm going to scale the budget. If it's between 20 and 25, that's yellow. Like that's getting close to not working anymore. Sorry, say this is your CPA goal is 25. Sorry, I'm changing the example a little bit. So yellow would be like 20 to 25, and then anything over 25, you're turning off. So that's how I look at that.
Perfect. And then someone said, hey, we increased our CBO daily interest campaigns by 30%, increased the budget. 2 of the 3 stopped performing and the cost per purchase increased. The audience sizes are between 2 and 6 million. So what would you do in that scenario?
It depends on how long it's been. I mean, it's still the case when you increase the budget of a campaign when you're scaling, especially with CBO, the campaign still needs a few days to work itself out and optimize and get to a place where it's likely to stay for a little bit. If it's already been a few days, then I would do what I just said, go back, decrease the budget back to the point of last return, see if that evens things out a little bit. If that doesn't, let me know and I'll help you with next steps from there.
Perfect. Okay. So that is all the stuff we've had come in. So we went through that a lot faster than I thought. Do you want to do a few more of the quicker Facebook group ones? These seem
Sure,
fairly
let's do
in-depth,
it.
but I bet there's some short ones. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna just copy these URLs for you really quick. And then scroll down to the next shorter one.
Great. Thanks for keeping me organized.
Doing my best. Okay, here we go. How about this one from Helen?
Helen said, is there a way to protect access to my custom audiences if my Facebook account gets closed? I think Frank Kern used to recommend having a mother account with no credit card attached to it that you didn't run ads for but shared audiences to, but I don't think this would work now as Facebook closes inactive accounts. So it's something you could do. This isn't a practice that we do because like you said, Facebook shuts down inactive accounts. I also just like to think that if you're following the rules, things will work out. But if you wanted to, you could try to create another account that you shared your custom audiences with, if that feels safe. And if you do want to go into that account and maybe use it from time to time just to keep it active, that could be a reasonable way to protect your custom audiences. But, I just like to make sure I'm always keeping up with terms of service. And I know that stuff happens outside of our control that can be a mistake, but, I really like to focus my energy more there, but this is something that you could do. Yeah, and what Joe said there too, for sure. Okay, so what would be the best audiences or what should I think about for Mother's Day gifts? Personalized personalized jewelry, tip on what to think about on the creatives. So, I mean, a lot of this is what we're working on the next few weeks. It's hard for me to just spat off exactly what you should do for a whole campaign here. I think, okay, with the Mother's Day gifts, though, that's interesting. So I think it depends on your avatars. Are you targeting the spouse of the wife for Mother's Day? Are you targeting the children? I think those are 2 different ways to think about it. Obviously, you can target parents and narrow that down to males, and that would give you all of the, partners and husbands of those mothers if you're going after that avatar. There are lots of ways to find dads with Facebook targeting that isn't just using those behaviors too. There are lots of interests you can find, blogs, magazines that talk about fatherhood. I'll go deep into this next Thursday. The reason I know this is because I've targeted this audience and we had a student who did too. So I think you've got to just go deep into the avatars in that direction, right? If it is the children, then what age? Like, who is this jewelry normally suited for? Like, kind of what is that woman? What is she like? Where is she in her life? She might have a partner, but what age are her children? And how can we further identify them to figure out different interests and behaviors that might target them? So I guess before I tell you how to target them, I just need to know more about them. And I think definitely showing up next Thursday for Russ and I's session will take all of this to the next level for you. So
The session you're doing with Rush is in 2 weeks, right? You're talking campaign structures upcoming
this
Thursday, and then
next Thursday.
Oh yeah, you're talking campaign structure. Yeah, the next one will be the 28th, and that'll be the one with you and Russ, I believe, right?
Yeah. So this Thursday is going deep into Facebook. Next Thursday is avatar and targeting.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure that that was clear for all the listeners, because 2 other people had asked me about the kind of targeting stuff. So
yeah, so just to run really quick with you guys, just through that again. So coming up here is Facebook advertising, and then on the 27th is avatars and targeting. And then week 5, so March 5th is ad copy, the 12th is creative, the 19th is putting it all together and launching it. And then we'll move on to the other topics. So just a quick run through of that. Okay, John, let's end with Anna's here.
One more? Okay.
Actually, it looks like there's a screenshot, so this might be best for me to look at tomorrow.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. But this one?
Okay, so Bebe, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Hey, everybody. After watching Ezra, I was overwhelmed by all the things I need to do. So try not to feel overwhelmed, guys. He went through everything that you can do and everything that he's done. It doesn't mean that you have to or you need all of those things right now. It's why we walk you step by step and say, okay, especially if you're just starting, choose one front end offer, one cold acquisition funnel that you want to use. If you're just getting started, it should be the butter chicken probably. And if you're e-commerce, so I know there's a lot of information. It's how we're able to make this apply to lots of different types of people and make sure this information grows with you as you scale too. And I understand, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being overwhelmed, but don't feel like you have to do every single thing that he mentioned. So right now it looks like a mountain to me. I just started this Facebook thing. I'm a small Amazon seller trying drop shipping Facebook ads, so it's not profitable. With my Amazon brand, I sent traffic to my listing, but okay, so take a deep breath, buddy. Step 1 is not to panic. I know we're all out there hustling. This shit is hard. It can be very hard. It's why we all come together to figure this out together. So take a deep breath. Make sure you're try to get to a calm place about this. I know money's on the line and it can feel a bit stressful, but the more stress we bring to it, actually the more the more what's the word I'm looking for here? The more resistance that brings. And normally I find that when I come to it with a place of stress, it's a lot harder for me. So I'm not saying that that's exactly what you're doing, but I just see a bunch of sentences with exclamation points of everything that is stressful. So you're a bit lost as I've been seeing cost per purchase as high as my selling price. My product sells for around $25. So I'm thinking, how do I make it profitable? Yeah, I mean, I do see in some markets that some cost per acquisition, depending on what you're doing, can be as low as like $5 in some markets. We saw that as recently as like a month ago, John and I did. But it can be as high as thousands of dollars for super high-end stuff. So it really depends. I'm not saying, obviously, this isn't going to be a sustainable business just selling one product at $25 forever. It is a place to start. I do think you can make it work, but something I would be thinking about is your product line and how you can quickly increase that customer lifetime value so that you can afford to pay a bit more to acquire a customer. So I need a step-by-step on how to do things like my selling page on Zipify. So Zipify has a bunch of tutorials. We also added bonus content for Zipify. I feel like I need new pictures and everything. After Joe posted some questions I see in the group, I was thinking I might be the only real beginner. Sorry about the long post. I feel lost. I would love a step-by-step so I can focus on the things to do first. So looks like you've gotten a lot of support. You're definitely not the only beginner. Again, I'm sorry that this is stressful. We try to make this as step-by-step as possible. So I'm not quite sure like how to move forward necessarily here, John, but I'm happy to help. However, if you send me links to what you're doing, if you tell me a little bit more about your business, if I were you, that's where I would try to transition now into the actual doing. And Zipify has a heap of information. And just know that a lot of what Ezra shared, as Ben said, was more advanced because it's for a lot of you guys are at different stages, but definitely start with the butter chicken. Just start with that product page, get proof of concept that way, and then we'll go from there. So that is the first step. You are selecting the butter chicken. We're going to get a product page build, and then over the next 6 to 7 weeks, we're going to build an ad campaign together, and let's see what type of results you get there. But don't give up. We're here to support you. I know you can make it work, and just know that everybody was once in your spot in terms of level of expertise, even me, John, Ez. So know that we support you, and thanks for being vulnerable in the group, and thank you for sharing. So I think that's a good one to end on, John. And guys, that's also why we make this a 4-month experience so that we can meet you where you are. It's also why you have essentially lifetime access to this content. We don't like to say lifetime because who knows where things will be in 80 years, but at least for the next few years, you have access to this content. You have access to all of the future TMTP class content so that you can stay up to date. All of this is here. Just take it step by step. And your first step is making sure you have a solid product page and that we get proof of concept there. And all of those can be found in the Zipify tutorial videos. So thank you guys so much. This was super fun. I feel like we got through a lot. I'm feeling very productive. And again, as I said, I've got a few hours blocked off tomorrow to get the rest of these questions answered in the group. So if you've got something in here that isn't answered, I'll get you a video or a written answer, whichever one seems most appropriate tomorrow. And yeah, this has been fun. John, anything else on your mind?
Yeah, so just wanted to end on this one last thought. A few other people were talking about step by step, and I just wanted to say the beauty of this course is it is already step by step, right? Each week you're going to build essentially one new piece of the puzzle. So right now you should, like Molly just said, kind of get your product page laid out if you're doing e-commerce, or maybe come up with something you're going to have people opt in for if you're doing more of an info or local business. And just start there. You know, we'll be talking about how to work in the interface next week. Then you're going to build your audience, figure out who you're targeting, do the ad copy, do the ad creative. So at the end of the 7th week, you'll have gotten the step-by-step process from picking an offer, building everything you need on Facebook for it, and launching it. So if you get overwhelmed because you don't feel like you know what the step-by-step is, we're trying not to overwhelm you, right? That's a big part of it. That's why each week we have a different focus area that are kind of like in the logical progression from you got to know what you're selling, know who you want to sell it to, and then how do you structure that offer to make them say, yes, I would love to buy your art supplies, just from the person I was talking to in the chat. So don't feel overwhelmed. And if you want to see the step-by-step, just kind of look at the PDF. That is the step-by-step of how to do this. Each week is one of the key steps.
Yeah, this is the step-by-step, guys. I mean, that's why we built it this way, so that each week builds off of one another. But I will also say that this is an ads course. We do cover funnels kind of as like a bonus week. That's not something that's usually covered in traffic classes, but we do cover it because we want to make sure yours are good and they're optimized, or ads won't work. You know, so I'm not going in and showing you step by step how to build webinar pages and things like that. I mean, that's all within Zipify. That's why we give you free access, or, you know, you've chosen your own builders that you're going to use. So this is exactly step by step how we build all of our traffic campaigns, and every week builds on the other. Yeah, happy to take more feedback, but I'm not sure how else to make it more step by step, but please let us know. Okay, John, thank you so much, buddy.
Yep, great session. Thanks so much, Molly. And we will see you all here Thursday to talk about the Facebook interface, which will be really fun. So have a great afternoon, evening, night, morning, wherever you are.
All right, see y'all. Bye-bye.